What's up, everybody? I'm Tim from Tim Ridge Gifts. In a candle with a picture transferred on it, and thought that it was a really complicated process. I'm going to show you today just how easy it is. So whether you're putting your favorite picture of loved ones on a candle, creating a cool logo, just having fun with some designs, or actually putting a Bible verse or a wedding verse on a candle to give as a gift. I'm going to show you that with just a few dollars in supplies, a little bit of time, we can create awesome gifts like these. So let's check out what supplies we're going to need. Alright, so just to go over our supplies, we're going to need some wax paper, some tissue paper like the kind that you would get to decorate a gift bag with, some type of thick paper. Cardstock works just fine. This is basically just to feed the other paper through the printer. We're going to need white pillar candles. And you can make your own. We'll cover that in another video. Just for the ease of this project, we just went ahead and bought some. You can get them in varying sizes. I think I got these at Walmart for like $2 a piece. You're going to need just a glue stick. You can use tape. I prefer glue. Scissors. A heat gun. You can use a hair dryer. I personally think a heat gun works a lot better. The hair dryer is going to work okay. It's just going to take longer. And of course, we're going to need our laptop and printer. It's really all there is to it. It's going to be real simple. So let's go ahead and head to the workbench. We'll show you how to put all this together. Our first step is going to be to get our tissue paper ready. This is ultimately what we're going to print our picture on, and we're going to transfer it onto the candle. But in order to do that, we've got to get it ready to go through our printer. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of the tissue paper a little bit bigger than the piece of cardstock. So I'm going to end up with something like this. Now what I need to do is go ahead and affix this tissue paper to the cardstock so it can actually be fed through the printer. To do that, we're just going to simply glue it. It's going to look like this. Alright, so we're just going to take our glue stick, just outline the back of it. Just fold that edge over so it's nice and tight. Do the opposite edge. Trying to pull it as tight as I can, not so tight that I want to rip it, but ultimately I'm trying to get the paper just as taut as I can. Okay, we're going to do this for all four sides. Ultimately we're going to end up with something that looks like this. And that's going to be able to go through the printer. Okay, so I've got the tissue paper and the cardstock loaded in my printer off camera. Didn't bother showing it because everybody's printer is going to be different. Next task is deciding what we're actually going to print. You can do pictures, different designs, different sayings, some of the stuff I showed in the intro. For this one, I think we're just going to do a picture of me and my beautiful wife. Now, I'm by no means a computer guy. I can make candles with the best of them, but computers count me out. So if anybody has any computer suggestions they want to add, feel free to leave those in the comments. But as far as actually getting the picture ready to print, I have found that the easiest way for me is to just copy and paste onto a Word document. I'll open up a blank Word document, right click and copy the picture I want, right click and paste that on the blank Word document. You can kind of drag it and get the size just about right. I'm sure there's easier ways to do it, but for me that's the easiest way. So we've done that, so now we're just ready to print. We'll go ahead and print. I'll grab it off the printer, show you what it's going to look like, and show you the next step. We're fresh off the printer. Here's what our finished product's going to look like with our picture on the tissue paper. As you can see, the picture quality is not as good as it would be with if you're using photo paper. But for just printing on tissue paper, it turned out pretty good. I mean, that's a great picture quality. In my opinion, it doesn't get any prettier than that. And the girl in the picture is not too bad either. Next step is going to be to cut it out. Now, if we were using something on just a white background, perhaps a saying, we wouldn't really have to get too careful with it because the white is going to blend in with our white candle. So we wouldn't have to get real close with our outline. We'd get kind of sloppy and jagged with our lines. But since we're going to be doing a picture, we do have to get it pretty close to get the silhouette cut out. Like around here on the white, I don't have to be too careful. But cutting the wall out of the background, you have to get pretty precise. And that's going to be difficult cutting around my big ears, so that's going to take a minute. But the finished product's going to look like this. Okay, so I've got the picture that I want on the candle cut out. I'm going to take the tissue paper off, throw the cardstock away. There we go. This is what's actually going to go on our candle. So next step is to go ahead and put it on our candle. Okay, to finish it up, we're going to need our picture on the tissue paper, our candle, our heat gun, and our piece of wax paper. Now, if you've never messed with wax paper before, it's going to have two sides to it, obviously. One side's going to be nice and slick. One side's going to be kind of tacky where the wax is. If you can't tell the difference, just take your fingernail, just kind of scrape it. You'll have wax underneath your fingernail. That's the side we want towards the candle. And the heat gun can get a little warm, so it wouldn't hurt to have an oven mitt as well. So when we cut our wax paper, we want it to cover the length of the candle, obviously. But we also want enough to where we can actually wrap it around and have enough to grab on the back side as well. That's what we're actually going to hold it with while we're working our heat gun. So we're going to get our picture lined up about where we want it. Carefully cover it with our wax paper. So we're going to pinch it in the back to hold it nice and tight. We don't want to hold it tight enough to where it's going to rip, but we don't want any wrinkles or bubbles forming. So we're going to hold it pretty tight. Next, we're going to take our heat gun and we're just going to gently sweep across it. We don't want to get too close. We don't want to put a whole lot of direct heat because we'll actually melt our candle. Just enough heat to where it's going to melt the wax on this wax paper over our picture. You'll be able to tell it's working. You may not be able to see it in camera, but you can see how it's kind of hazy. Once we get that wax on the wax paper to start melting, it's going to take on like a real shiny wet look. That's how we know that the wax is actually melting, blending into the candle and the picture. So it's going to look something like this. Don't want to stay in one spot for too long. I can always go back to it. Okay, and that's all there is to it. We're going to let it cool for just a second. We're going to slowly pull our wax paper off. And there you have it. And it's literally just that easy. So to recap, basically what we've done, we haven't actually transferred an image onto the candle. We've basically just kind of melted a piece of paper onto the candle. We've taken the tissue paper, put it against the wax of the candle, put a thin layer of wax over the top of it, melted it on there, so it kind of sealed that paper on there. So we haven't officially actually transferred the image on there. We basically just wax glued a piece of paper on there. Kind of leads me to my next point. A lot of people are probably going to ask in the comments, is this a fire hazard? Kind of, a little bit. Basically what we have done is we basically glued a piece of paper to the outside of this candle. If you're familiar with candle making, a lot of wicks are actually just paper rolled up and dipped in wax. So you could actually argue that we've added a wick to the outside of the candle. So it does create a bit of a fire issue. Not so much that I'm going to be worried about it. Most of the time that you're going to do this, it's going to be done to create a gift. So it's not going to be something that somebody's going to burn anyway. Like a picture of my wife and I, or my wife and her gorgeous kids. If I were to give that to her as a gift, that's not something that she's going to burn. That's something she's going to put up on the shelf and cherish because it is a sentimental gift from me to her. Same with you guys if you were to create this as a gift and give it to someone. But if you are actually going to use this candle, just keep in mind you are going to need to take a few precautions. For example, you might want to put this on a nice little tray or a plate, definitely away from any other items. So if there were actually any issues with the picture catching fire, it wouldn't create a bigger issue. That being said, this is a great way to create an awesome gift to give to someone for virtually nothing. If you were to buy this from somebody else's candle shop, no telling what they would charge for something like this. But I've shown you just how easy it can be creating this. Very little time, very little effort, and very little money.